Once again, hi, and I'm glad you joined me today. So today was a little bit of a touching day because we had a paddle out for a high school student who lost his life. Um, a drunk driver killed a couple kids. The first one died about a week ago, and then now this other fellow, Mason Lee, he passed away recently. So we had a paddle out for him. Us surfers have paddle outs, and generally at a paddle out, we say a prayer. We throw flowers into the circle. Um, we splash the water up in the air and shout the person's name and just give them a good farewell. I've been to paddle outs before where you take the person's ashes if there's waves that day, and if the person was a surfer, you take the person's ashes and you get a handful and you rub them into your board, and you rub that into your wax. So then you turn and take a wave, and that person who passed away gets to ride one more wave with you as a farewell departure. Death is kind of a hard subject to talk about. Usually, the best thing to do whenever someone passes away is to remain silent, because everything can be said in that silence. But I'll share a story about death. Um, it's a Sufi story, and it's one of my favorite Sufi stories. But let's see if I can tell it right live. It's kind of hard to do without messing up, but I'm gonna give it my best shot. So if I do mess up, just bear with me. So a long time ago, there was this solicitor, a lawyer, who lived in a kingdom under a certain very generous, caring, loving king. The king was so loving and so giving that every once a week he would come down and have like a parade in in front of all of the people in the marketplace in his village, and he would throw gold coins at the innocent looking people or the children. But what happened was the solicitor was watching these children and these simple looking people all getting the coin, but the king never threw him a coin, and he didn't understand why. So he tried a bunch of tricks. First, he tried to dress up as a little kid and disguise himself as a little kid. But the king came through the village, and he saw the lawyer, and he says, "No, I recognize you. You can't fool me." And then, so that didn't work. So he dressed up like an old person and raggedy clothes and dirt all over his face and everything, to trying to look like he's a simple person. And the king came through the village and handed out gold coins to everybody, but he didn't get one. The lawyer still didn't get one. The king said, "I still recognize you. You can't hide, you can't disguise yourself from me." So this went on, and the lawyer kept trying different tricks to try to get the king to throw him a gold coin. But no matter how conniving or how tricky he thought he was, the king recognized him every time and said, "No, you don't get the gold coin." So anyway, one day out of desperation, the solicitor, the lawyer fellow, saw an open casket at a undertaker's shop, and he saw the king coming down the street handing out the gold coins. So he ran and he jumped in the casket and folded his arms in front of him and pretended he was dead. And the king came up to him and said, "Okay." He threw a gold coin at him and said, "For you, the only time you're ever going to get the gold coin is after you've passed away, after you're dead." Uh, so yeah, that's the Sufi story that I wanted to share. Maybe some of you might have gotten it by now, but the gold coin represents enlightenment. Um, and if you're innocent and childlike, then it's yours. The gift is already yours. Um, if you're older, or if you just have been around the block and come to a point where innocence comes back to you, a second innocence. Not, the first innocence was a gift. The second innocence was something that you earned, and that innocence can never be taken away. So what that means to us is that, we go throughout our lives always wanting. But if you're conniving and you're trying to be tricky and cunning, you don't get it. You won't get it. You're not becoming to God as a child. You'll get bypassed, and others will get it, and you'll be envious and wonder what they're doing that you're not doing, and you just won't understand because you're trying to use your mind. You're trying to use your mind for something that is not of the mind, something that is beyond the mind, and that's kind of the essence of the story. So who knows, when you die, when you physically leave this world and leave this body, maybe you do get the gold coin when you die. But the thing is why do you want to wait? Why do you want to take that chance? Why do you want to waste your whole life thinking that you may get the gold coin when you die? Because maybe a priest told you that you're going to go to heaven when you die. If that's just a bargain, and you think that God is a businessman, then you got another thing coming. Maybe the Jewish God might be a little bit of a businessman, but there's more than just the Jewish God. The God that the king represented was very caring, loving, giving God, but he's also very wise. And this, the king that represents the God, I should say, was very, very wise. And I guess that's just the way it goes in life, is we have to make this journey. And I will say this one more thing about death, and I don't know this for certainty, but it almost seems like there's this river that you got to cross in life. And there's a couple ways to get across. If you're innocent as a child, innocent like a child, and never lost that initial innocence, then you can basically walk on the river surface and cross to the other side. And the other side is Mosca or liberation or heaven or nirvana or whatever you want to call it. So an innocent person, no matter what age, can basically walk on water, just like Jesus did. He just walked on the water right across the surface. The rest of us, the rest of the population of the world, if you've lost that innocence and you haven't regained it yet, then you've only got two options. You can try to swim across, but the currents are going to be too strong and the river's way too wide to actually make it by swimming. You'll be swimming upstream, or trying to, because it's going to dump out into the ocean, and you're in real trouble then. But the other option is you can learn to float. So if you float and put little effort into it, you can make it across the stream. You go with the currents, and that's not a Sufi teaching. That's more of a tantric teaching. And tantra says that you go with the flow. You don't give into it. You don't give into indulgence. You use indulgence as a transcendent tool, a way to go beyond your not corruptedness, but your essence that's not innocent yet. That you're still, as long as you're in that river, then like I said, you'll have to float across. That's about the only way to do it. You can try swimming and using effort, and there are religions that kind of teach effort. But you have to, when you think about religions that teach effort, then you have to ask, how does the tree bear fruit? If the tree bears fruit, then it's worth eating, and it's worth watering and staying under and taking shelter from it. But if the tree bears no fruit, then you got to kind of question, why are you following it? If it's not bearing fruit, then you're wasting your time. Anyway, so if we cross this river before we die, then we will shed our egos. You will learn what it means to be innocent again. And then that innocence, when you apply it to meditation, takes you way deeper and to such depths that as a child with a given innocence, you could never dive that deep. But with the second innocence, as an adult who is childlike, then with that childlike essence, you can dive into meditation and experience what they call samadhi. And samadhi is where you basically disappear. There's 3 levels of samadhi, and each level goes a little bit deeper and deeper. And then the final one, the nirvanic samadhi, is so deep that you just completely disappear. And then what happens is existence fills you, and you go into existence and you switch places for a short time. But that's what happens. And it's very beautiful. But you can only get to those levels once you've obtained that second innocence. All right, I guess we'll end it there. But thanks for joining me, folks. I hope to come back and give you a whole bunch more live talks. It's always a little scary going live because, you know, if you make a mistake, you look like an idiot. But I guess the idiot will come out in all of us when we do dumb things and not pay attention to our words and being conscious of what we're actually trying to convey to our listeners. So anyway, we'll end it with that. Namaste to all you beautiful people, and God bless, and alohas. And I'm trying to find this, and I love you all very much, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day. Namaste to all you beautiful people. And I think the surf's coming up this week. We got a storm in the Gulf, so we may get some waves, and I may have to go up to Waco and do a day of waves too. So we'll see what happens. Much love, and y'all take care of yourselves. Bye-bye.